Hi, good evening, Blues. 2-2 in the final Goodison derby. I don't know where to start with this one. I've never seen so many sendings off after the whistle. Obviously, Everton, doing the business for us. But my God, did they make us sweat? I'm going to be joined by guests throughout the evening. Keep your comments rolling in. The main thing, obviously, is that we've gone in and we've not allowed the Red Shite to go out with the 3 points. It wouldn't have been deserved, would it? I'm going to be joined by other members of the team. I'm going to start with Corey. Corey, you've not been too well. You've had an operation recently, so I appreciate you coming on. It's never easy after the whistle, and to be honest with you, I was preparing for the worst only a few seconds before the redemption from James Tarkowski, and I say that because I think a lot of people were pointing to him for mistakes at the weekend, and he's come up with an absolute smashing top rifle corner shot that's basically sent the roof has come off this house, and basically the roof came off Goodison as well, didn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? Right, so I've had an operation on my feet. I don't know if any of you have seen that video with a fella who's got his hands in bandages and he's clapping and he's in absolute agony. That was me when that second goal came in, because I jumped up off the couch. Obviously, it's my feet that had done it, and I pretty much collapsed to the floor afterwards, and I was still cheering in the air. That's how much it meant to me. Yeah, absolutely lifted the roof of the net, lifted the roof of Goodison, and like you said, there's probably lifted the roofs of many Blues all around the country and all around the world as well.
Hold that thought, Corey. I think Ryan's joining us as well. I just want to get Ryan in. I'll bring you back in a sec. Ryan, you outside Goodison?
Yes! Wow!
I'll just remind you that we didn't
win.
Don't tell me you walked out before the end. You did.
I have got a funny video.
Did you see the goal?
I didn't see the goal.
Right, for that, I'm just going to take him out. I can't be having that. Right, let's go to Jan's mum. We'll go back to Ryan in a minute. Jan's, come on. Tell me what it was like. First of all, being with your...
Absolutely wonderful. And I had to go because it's the last derby that's going to be at Our Old Lady. So I had to go. And the atmosphere...
I believe you took my ticket as well, although it's technically Jan's ticket to give away, not mine. But the atmosphere, it sounded absolutely electric if it was anything like last year.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. But I have to say, and I'm going to be quite impartial here, that Liverpool are absolute shite. They're dirty. They do fouls and get away with it. I don't know what the referee was playing at, but he could have used my glasses and seen better. It was disgusting, some of the decisions.
You're spot on there. I've got some screenshots from the fight towards the end, but I do want to, where possible, focus on the football. And I thought Everton were full value for a draw today. What do you think?
I thought we should have won. We played magnificently. I haven't seen them play that well for a long time. And they deserve all the applause that the crowd gave them. They deserved it.
Tell me what it was like, because you were in the ground, and obviously me and Corey were having to sweat through the TV coverage.
Yeah, well, there's a little story.
They're drawing the lines for the offside. Liverpool, I'll reserve swearing, but they're drawing the lines. They're trying to find any possible excuse that they can have. I'm squeezing this stress ball. And I've been squeezing it all game, and I almost gave up after Liverpool scored because I felt like the tension kind of eased a bit. But as we scored that goal at the end, it was almost like Liverpool were looking for any possible excuse. I'm going to turn into Jan here with the way I'm phrasing this. But they were looking.
No. I was just saying, you're turning into me. Were Liverpool looking for any excuse, or were VAR and the officials looking for any excuse?
I don't know, because I don't know how much they want to keep the Premier League alive. But they were looking for any excuse to not give Everton that goal. It was an amazing goal, but it was so much tension because we had to celebrate twice. Just talk me through what it was like after we scored, when they did the review. How was it? Because I was there last year. We did the Calvert-Lewin penalty and all that.
I've got an admission. I have to leave early because, I'm slightly disabled. So I have to leave early, otherwise I get in the crush. So we're
everyone
walking down
hasn't been-
Spallow Road when
Yeah.
the whole of Spallow Road absolutely erupts.
There's cheers from the crowd, the Royal Oak. So we're stood looking through the windows of the Royal Oak.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You and Ryan,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it is with our lot, but I do understand, obviously, with your physical requirements that you're going to need to get out the ground, and it can be pandemonium, especially if everyone's got a face like thunder. And to be honest, I would have had a face like, I nearly did have a face like thunder a few minutes
so
ago.
did we.
It was pretty much this color. I should get the cards out in a minute. But basically, we did not deserve to lose that game. And for us to end the last game under lights, potentially the last game under lights, at least the last derby game, 41 wins aside, we've not halted their title challenge, but we've certainly given our effort towards Arsenal, with Mikel Arteta actually appearing on the front of the cover. I'm trying to get a copy of that if anyone's about there. I don't know whether I can still get one. But thank you so much for your comments. We'll come back to you in a minute. I'm going to go back to Curry because he's I think he's drugged up, and I want to give him an early night and allow him to have a bit of a rest. And if Ryan is there, or David, we'll bring them back in a minute. I can't believe, Curry, what I'm listening to. No one was in the ground.
I know, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, of all the games, derby, you stay to the end. We know what can happen. There's always shock at the end of it. And the last one at Goodison Park as well, it was written in the stars, wasn't it? You couldn't have written that if it was a Hollywood film. Us, Everton, would have been deserved winners, I think. The territorial, the chances that we had, the fact that we had the penalty disallowed, which it's a 50-50 chance, in all honesty. It could have gone either way. Same with the Conor Bradley yellow card. So it seemed like all the big 50-50s were going against us. They get a goal late on. It's against the run of play, bit of heartbreak, and then the Reds are singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." They think they've won it. There's a bit of hubris there, isn't there? And right at the death, snatched there. What a strike! Absolute volley, foot like a traction engine. Ridiculous, fantastic. And I would love to be the people in the ground, love to be the fans in the ground when that happened. Not just that, but when the VAR, we got a second chance to celebrate it as well. And then obviously the scrap afterwards as well. A little bit of TV soaps around, a bit of popcorn.
Yeah, I've managed to get, I
fantastic.
don't know how much trouble I'm going to get into this, but I've only screenshotted what's on TV, mate. But here you go. What happens here? I'll take the first screenshot of what's going to go on. We'll probably go back through the goal in a minute. Sure. But what happens is Decore, he gets pushed, I think, by Curtis Jones, who was already on a yellow, I believe, at that point, the substitute. And then it's just an absolute melee with players. But look at this, 3 against 1. Shane Big Dunk wasn't there. You'd have only needed him. And then, of course, it's a real big scene at the end with Decore celebrating in front of the fans. You can see, and you can write your own captions from there. It's almost like I'm better off not saying anything because I feel that says everything. This picture epitomized the effort, the galvanized Everton side under Moyes, the atmosphere of the day and the evening, from the blue flares and the build-up and the various different podcasts BBC have been doing on Goodison derbies through to the final whistle. It's a shame that it had to end in a fight in this melee, where quite literally, it ended up being a bit of rough and tumble. And we're going to have to go through some of the sendings off in a minute, just to kind of work out who was anyone technically still on the pitch. And I think we do have Ryan coming back. If we can get Ryan back on, that would be great. Right, I'm going to let you back on, seeing as though you're the founder of the channel, and you're not the only one that was outside the ground when the hurricane or the earthquake erupted. Can you still hear us? Are you still there? Struggling to pick up Ryan. The signal can be quite patchy, and if he's anywhere near some of the car parks and stuff, it's obviously all very crowded, and everyone's just trying to catch their breath a little bit. We are going to play through the game, guys. We're not going to rewatch it. We're going to talk about the talking points in a few minutes. Hopefully, I'll stay on for as long as Curry can last. Given I think your painkillers probably would have possibly helped you get through that game, but they can make you drowsy and all of that. And if Ryan messages me and he can get back on, brilliant. We want your comments. And of course, if you're watching this for the first time, where have you been? With over 3,000 subscribers, we started this in lockdown. We've shown up, win, lose or draw, and believe it, not many wins. But under Moyes, we're galvanized. We are stronger. We are better. And we actually have a plan. I thought there were some fantastic performances. We'll go through those in a minute when we look at the lineups. We'll also have a look at the way that the game unfolded, trying to kind of make sense of what we've just seen for the last 98 minutes or so, because quite literally, you're not going to see a Premier League game as frantic as that. And you can keep watching them for years and years. It was a classic derby in a way. It will be the sort of derby that people will look back and go, do you remember the last derby at Goodison? Because it was just one of those games. Don't know about you and other fans, but I had a sleepless night last night just thinking about this game. I was watching the pre-match stream with Mabsy, and you were on it as well, weren't you, Corey?
It was me and Mabsy yesterday, yeah.
Obviously, because I watched it right before bed, it kept me awake. And then obviously through the days, there's kind of butterflies. But I believe the atmosphere in the build-up to the game was just absolutely crazy. Have you seen like the blue flares and kind of what was happening before the game? There are some pictures and videos obviously online. But as we kind of are going to kind of look back through the match and try and make some sense, otherwise I don't think anyone's getting to bed tonight. Personally, I don't think that I'm going to bed until I've kind of distilled what happened. Let's have a look at, and we'll come to comments in a minute, so please guys just keep bearing with us here. We're going to look at the way that the teams lined up. Of course, the thing I'm going to pick up, the big thing here, is the fact that we had a major injury to our number 10, who's the main playmaker. And how much of an impact did you think that was going to have at the time?
To be honest, I thought that might have been the game gone. I don't mean in terms of us losing it, but I just thought maybe the tempo or outball and just things like that. Now, I do think it certainly affected it because we know how good Njai is. He's a bit of an outball as well. You put the ball out wide, he'll battle for it, he'll win it, he nicks it, the ball's stuck to him, and he's brilliant for the counter-attack. So I was concerned at that point. But what I would say is fair play to Jack Harrison there. He's come on under difficult circumstances. Our talisman has come off in the derby. He was visibly upset. You can see that was gutted for him. And Jack Harrison come on and he gave a good account of himself. I thought he was probably one of our better players. I'd probably say in our top 4 or 5 players on the pitch, which considering some of the shifts that the players put in, was fantastic. Didn't let the ball get away from him. He kept hold of it. He done what Njai would do and keep the ball going. And he not only did he keep the ball on that left foot, he cut inside on his right, which obviously we know how strong he is on his left and his struggles on the right from the other side. But he looked really good. He was difficult to tackle today. He gave Conor Bradley, he gave Trent Alexander-Arnold a difficult time. So I don't think we missed Njai as much as I thought we were going to at first. But yeah, look at the start. I was certainly worried.
Yeah. Hold that thought, because I think we're going to cross over to Basil, who's actually been at Goodison. I wonder if Basil, my youngest brother, is.
Yes.
Was he in the ground?
You're going to boot me out?
Yes. Were you in the ground when we scored?
I was in the ground when we celebrated the goal.
Right, he's off. No, I'll bring him back. Bring him back. You can't, from the days of Joe Max Moore scoring at the death, you cannot leave before the end. Now, I say that having sat with Basil, obviously we were 2-0 down from Bournemouth. There's one goal in it. Why did you leave before the end? Tell me.
Well, we left the other day, so I don't know, it's not your fault. Ryan and my dad, I knew they'd leave because they can't stand it. And the reason I left, I stayed longer than Ryan. I thought I want to wait and see this injury time through, but I wanted to get out before Liverpool celebrated that win and the whistle blew, and I thought it was going to go within about 20 seconds of me walking out. And as I was walking down, you come down the steps and you're walking out the ground. But I was still in the stand, so I hear this big roar, and then I just basically ran, and I can't describe it. It was just like euphoria. The people jumping up and down. I wasn't the only one. There was tons of people that walked out because it felt so flat. And as you said, with Ndai, the crowd sense these things when things are not going your way. And had scored, it just went very flat. You know, for 20 minutes straight, my head was done with it, and so I'm walking out, and then I jumped back in, and it was just like crowds of people pushing and pushing each other, like mayhem, but just jumping up and down, and then the offside thing, and well, you know what happened, but it was good to,
there's just so much to go through.
It was really good to be in there when the offside goal was obviously awarded as not being offside. It was just euphoric moment.
What did you think when you were walking back in? I mean, obviously, I'll talk
I was
you through
sprinting in. I was sprinting in. I was sprinting up the steps because I could hear people going yes, and I was like, "What the hell have we actually scored?" Because the thing is, Everton didn't look like scoring at all for that last 20 minutes before this. So I had no hope at that point, unfortunately, that we were going to get anything. But just goes to show, doesn't it? And then there was the whole fight and everything. I mean, the atmosphere in there at the end was incredible.
Thanks, Basil. I mean, look, there's so many things that we could pick up on here. I don't know whether you realised, but there were more sendings off towards the end. Even after the whistle went, Arnie Slot got sent off, the manager, so he won't be in the dugout for the next game. And there's various other players, but you know, it's hard to kind of process. Curtis Jones and Decore also both got sent off, and obviously that goal came on 98 minutes. You know, if you just join me, maybe come out Goodison, maybe on Queen's Drive or something like that. This has been my friend for the evening, this blue stress ball. I watched the first half with my 5-year-old, put him to bed knowing that there's probably a chance of me going a bit crazy in the second half. But I thought Everton controlled it well. I thought Everton did control patterns of that game, and the goal from their point of view came against the run of play. Basil, I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to go back to where we were a minute, but great to hear from you. We'll chat more and we'll go through some more of the talking points if you do stay with us. Thanks, Basil. Is another one of our team who just didn't stay till the end, which, I mean, I want somebody from our team to come on now. Maybe Mabsy stayed till the end and he's watching. Maybe he can find a way to get back on the channel. Please, Mabsy, if you can, come back on. Otherwise, I'll ask you about it tomorrow if you can join me for the preview of Palace. Not that anyone could even think about that right now. Going back to the comments, and of course, do make sure you support this channel. We are we're very free, raw, and we speak our minds. We kind of like this to be like how we would have a chat down the pub. If there is any uncensored language, it certainly won't be from me. I'll try and curb it because, you know, I have a little kid and he's probably waking up in a minute with all the noise. But if there is anyone that comes on and does offend you, please don't take offense. You know, it takes a lot of guts to come on after the whistle. I was very much prepared to come on suffering this defeat. And then we've kind of snatched a draw from the jaws of defeat. But anyway, superb performance in the end from the Everton players. Corey, going back, and we'll bring on Ryan in a sec again. Just going back to that lineup, Mikalenko comes in, but Everton, you know, top to bottom, they did perform well. Ryan, while you're here, could you just maybe give us your thoughts on the Everton performances overall today?
Everton were it's hard to fault any individuals really. I think they gave 110%, that old cliche. I really do think that they worked their socks off and they gave everything that they possibly could, given the limitations of the individual players that we had. I mean, you compare it with Liverpool, they were able to bring on world-class players. The squad is billions of pounds. Everton are bringing on a 40-year-old granddad in Ashley Young at the end to try and make a difference. So the levels between them are massive, and I think Everton's players individually did really well. Some standouts for me, I really want to rate Mikalenko higher because I felt like he was really aggressive in his overall defending. But unfortunately, you know, he's on that side for the Salah goal and the Salah cross, so you possibly can't give him as high as I want. But you've got to say Jared Branthwaite was outstanding. Jake O'Brien generally really good. Decore was a powerhouse, although he had 2 massive chances which he should have done better with the header and the shot. I thought Jack Harrison was kind of like the pantomime villain who came on for Ndai, because he was like giving so much effort and he really wanted to do well, but almost looked lost in the final third when he got into dangerous areas. but there was a lot of work rate, a lot of endeavour, a lot of the physicality was there. Possibly wasn't the top quality that you really want to go to the next level.
Yeah, spot on, Ryan. I think Everton did give everything that you hoped that they gave, and although the first half was pretty much even Steven, the second half was one where I think a lot of people feel that we shouldn't never have gone down 2-1, and there were plenty of chances which we'll go through, but it was just one of those kind of reminiscent of the old Goodison derbies. If you don't go back and look at some of the classic ones, this is definitely up there from my point of view. It's going to be hard to get to sleep tonight, and I wonder if you are going to do any phone-ins or further videos. What do you think?
Yeah, I may do something later on after this, but
Okay.
I'll be honest. I got my punishment. I'll tell you why. I left the ground. I didn't see it because I cannot cope with the insufferable Liverpool fans, and I couldn't bear to watch them celebrate. So I took the hit, and that's the honest to God reason why I left. And it was wrong. I should have stayed. I couldn't stand them, and I missed it, and I got the punishment. And actually, there's a funny video of me walking down the main stand, and all of a sudden, everyone stops and starts jumping up and down, and it's kind of, it is like so theatrical and hilarious. It's almost like slow motion. What the hell's going on? So I start filming it and looking around, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? People literally start running into the Gladys Street who've left, piling in huge numbers. I'm one of them. I'm running in. I'm now standing on top of the side of the railings with about 20 other people who've just run in, trying to get a glimpse of what's going on. And then the big nervousness, it's offside, it's offside, it's offside. No one knows whether we've scored. No one knows whether it's offside. So I'm like, it's probably offside. I just can't cope. Started walking out, and then all of a sudden you get the big roar. It's onside. And it's an unbelievable moment to be able to do that, because I think it would have been very unjust if Everton hadn't have got at least a draw in that game.
Yeah, 100%. And at the end on TNT Sport, who covered the game here in the United Kingdom, I know, and please welcome all our fans all over the world watching. I do know that Tarkowski was greeted by Jagielka, and that's what I was trying to listen to, what he was saying. Basically, it was just such a fitting end to it all. But basically, they were having a joke about whether that or maybe Jagielka's goal will at the cut will go down in history. And basically, Tarkowski said early on he got a chance, but he panicked. But he decided to get in the box, and he did the right thing, obviously. But I just didn't think we were going to get a chance. He said, "I just let it go." He just said, "I let it go and see what happens." Amazing to score. What an amazing night! But he said he saw the ball going wide and thought, last minute, why not have a go? And that was his thoughts and what he told Jagielka towards the end. And it's just one of those things where you could take a freeze frame of that moment, and it's just unbelievable. I am still processing this. I'm sure lots of Blues will. We've got people in and out. It's like a Chinese English takeaway on Goodison Road at the moment. There's just so many people in and out trying to cram in to this stream. And of course, I'll be bringing in Jan and himself in a minute. I mean, look, I don't know where to go next. I'm going to start by replaying through the game. I don't know whether you want to stay on, Rye, and then we're going to get the thoughts of Jan.
I'm walking into the house.
Okay, thanks. We'll let Ryan go. Corey, we'll keep you there for a minute. Jan will bring you in a second. So, I mean, just to kind of replay, really, this has been quite an epic evening. And it's a game of two halves, obviously. And the first half was pretty even Steven, wasn't it, Corey? I mean, we went in 1-0, and the injury to Ndiaye was after that, those two goals. First half, kind of Everton were quite content with going 1-1. I think probably the score, it was kind of suiting both sides. But Moyes probably gave them a bit of a team talk. Let's talk about the first goal. Let's talk about the Beto goal. Do you want to just talk me through how you saw that goal in your own eyes?
Yeah, it's got to be something he've worked on. Beto does like to run forward. He does like, that's where he likes to play in the shoulder, doesn't he? Uses his strength, uses his pace. But to have that awareness to get into that exact position, that's been worked on. So that's from the training ground. So kudos to Charlie Adam, the Red, because he's our set piece coach. So I reckon he's probably had a hand in that. So thank you very much to a former Red, Charlie Adam. Pass to Jared Branthwaite. we know he's got a good pass on him. That short pass between the lines, he's done that a couple of times in the game. But this time it was from a set piece, gets the ball right in between the lines. Beto runs in between, and he done really well. Doesn't take it on and take a strike with his left foot. He knows he's got the space in front of him, lets the ball run across on his right foot, and he's showing that he is every bit the goal scorer. Give him them one-on-ones and he's going to score a lot more than he's going to miss. So, yeah, to me, well-worked set piece. Fantastic pass from our centre-back, the man of the match today in my mind. And Beto, fantastic finish. He's going to write himself into some Goodison folklore, hopefully, especially if he carries this on to the back end of the season.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Rye to get set up, and then I think he's going to be coming in while Jan's pulled over before he gets stopped by the police. Beto's done so well. He and a number of other players, such as Harrison, look absolutely galvanized under David Moyes. And I feel like with Moyes at the helm, Everton have that identity back that we just clearly lost. Beto is the epitome of that. His work rate, considering he played at the weekend and he's the only first choice striker available, was phenomenal. He took his goal extremely well. I went completely wild. I had my little son. He's just started to watch games. He's only 5. And his comment to me was, "Daddy, you're making me feel sick." I turned him upside down. We're all over the place. The scenes were absolute bedlam. Remember, I actually put him to bed at 6:30. Then I woke him up at 7:30. Don't tell my wife. She's out tonight. And it was just absolutely crazy scenes. But unfortunately, it didn't last, did it, Corey? We let a goal in. And Decore kind of gives the ball away. Whether you blame him or not, I don't know. Because, there was a sequence of passes where we're trying to intercept. Eventually, the ball, I think it's kind of McAllister's header, but should Pickford have done better? The cross is beautiful, of course.
I think it's harsh. That ball whipped in with a good bit of pace, and it's whipped in as an in-swinger. So the way he's hit his head on that, it's glancing. Fair play, it is a good header. It's right in the corner. I think it's difficult. Look, what he probably could have done is made more of an effort to get to it and dive for it. But I think even if he dives for that, he doesn't get to it. I think what looks worse is the fact that he's kind of shifted his body sideways. Even if he dives for that, I don't think he's getting to it because it is right in that corner. Like I said, the pace, the swing on it, it's difficult to deal with. It just would have been better optics if he'd have gone for the ball. So I won't dig him out too much for that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's always a disappointment when you don't hold on to a lead. I mean, pretty much that McAllister goal came on 16 minutes with our goal at 11. So there was just 5 minutes between the two. And you're always a bit vulnerable when you've just scored. But for a Goodison derby, and a lot of them do end up in draws, many of them are 0-0, lots of sendings off, of course. And I guess this game epitomised that in some respects.
Isn't it the most... Sorry to interrupt you.
Sorry.
Isn't it the most drawn game in Premier League football or English top flight football or something like that? So
yeah, they have more.
No
they have more draws than Tony Hart's Art Attack program. But yeah, absolutely. I think that or a game of Pictionary, whichever pun you want to go with. But look, we're celebrating because although it is just a draw, and the red side are 7 points clear at the top, we have rescued the situation. Now, Corey, I'm going to let you go because I know that you'll be watching anyway, but just give you like a rest. And it was really good that you could join us and kind of fill in while people were coming out the ground. And I'll see you on the next stream, lad. Any final closing comments? Anything you want to say to the fans out there?
Yes, before I start drooling and dribbling, at the end, Decore, yeah, look, it was stupid of him to do what he did. He's gone and goaded the Liverpool fans. It's caused a scrap. He's got himself sent off. But I'll be honest, I think that's what football's all about. Last minute equaliser in the derby. Your fans are singing their song. Everyone loses their heads. He gives some to the fans. One of their players gives it him back. It turns into a scrap, bit of handbags. They both get a yellow card. They both get sent off, quite rightly. Look, let's all be grown-ups and say, I like that in football. I like a bit of the drama at the end. They are the scenes that I want to see. So, look, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to dig any of them. It's the passion of it. And, look, what a way for the derby to go out. Brilliant thunder strike at the end, saving it at the death. And drama scrapping in what's the most carded derby in the world, or most carded derby in England. And, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, so many comments coming. Keep them coming your way. Corey, thank you for your company tonight. I'm going to bring Jan in a second. And obviously, Jan, Are you back home already, lad?
I am, yes, because I actually, forgive me, before we get on to the football, I'm sure loads of people have different stories and memories of this evening with the last evening game at Goodison and the last derby and all that. I would just like to point out, thank you for dragging me on. I would have been a little bit more involved. However, I got pulled over by the police. And I have to say, despite my cynicism and desire for reform and all this kind of stuff, the officer that pulled me over was a human being and generally quite nice. Essentially, I'm not going to say any more, but yes, I let my speed get away with me a little bit. And he decided to look at my situation, like me, all this kind of stuff, and not to criminalise me. And it really hit home. And I just hope that it is thematically linked. There's a segue. I just hope that there are plenty of similar, conscientious, empathetic, considerate, compassionate. Yeah, well, no, out on the streets tonight, because there will be plenty of people that undoubtedly will be not going into work tomorrow. Now, I'm perfectly sober. I just was a bit stressed and panicked and wanted to get home to jump on this, so I was stupid. But I can just honestly say, wow, what a break at the death, because I thought I was going to get like ticket ban or something. I don't know, but stealing some sort of victory from the cause of defeat is the theme of the evening, is it not?
Yeah, I didn't know whether you were referring to the fact that you were pulled over by what sounds like a compassionate Evertonian policeman, or
I don't think he was. No, he said that was a good result for you.
The redemption of James Tarkowski towards the end, and the fact that half of our team. I mean, obviously, I was supposed to be there. I was probably as good as you lot, because none of you were in the ground at the end, and I wasn't either. But it sounded like you were we were redeemed in two accounts. And it's good that I'm not getting a call from the local.
Can you please run me through? I know this might sound ridiculous, but maybe obviously there'll be plenty of people who are watching the stream who watched it on TV. Maybe some didn't. Now, like me, I was there with my mum, but looking after my mum, I had to leave a little bit early. That she was tottering along and left the ground, and I caught up with her at about 90 minutes or so, or something like that. And we were walking down Spellow Lane when there was this almighty cheer, and I was like, no, don't believe it. It'll be them lot winding us up, leaving early. So what happened? Because I saw the the VAR replay on the screen, where they were looking for any excuse, just as they were throughout the whole match. Have you covered the yeah, would you mind running me through? What's these red cards? What fight? What?
So Jan, do you want the red cards or do you want the goal?
I mean, just run me through as if I am excited.
We're gonna walk through the second half in a minute anyway. What I would say is that we have thousands of people joining us watching live, and your mic is a disgrace. So can you get your other mic out?
Because I'm not on my computer, I'm on my phone. In case you can't tell, I'm not carrying a 10-kilogram desktop PC around. Okay, all
right, I'll give you grace on that. It creates authentic content. Anyway, loads of comments coming in. We're going to go through the second half. We're going to talk about the medley towards the end. If you get a chance to rewatch us from the start, I did pull up some naughty screenshots that I brought. No, not that type of naughty, but just screenshots I took from the TV, where basically Curtis Jones is having a really good go at our players towards the end after the whistle. I am trying to keep on topic with the football, but there was so much after the whistle. We could basically do an entire episode about what happened after. And you do keep your comments coming in, because I know that a few of you are getting back to your respective homes in Liverpool. Yes, that's right. Everton fans do live locally, most of them, whereas Liverpool fans, if there are any left, are on their way back to the airport. Now, of course, no cheeky digs there. We are watched by home away fans as well, week in, week out. We try and keep the show as respectful as possible. We have this comment from a Liverpool fan. What a game. Fitting final derby at Goodison. You deserve something from it. So it is good to stay humble with these situations. I don't know whether we could have done this if there was a win for either side, but it definitely, Jan, wasn't a game that you know what, I sat through second half and I thought, we're not losing this, we're winning this.
I mean, I have to admit, I was all doom and gloom, a little bit quietly doom and gloom. I was kind of preparing myself for the inevitable, if you will. The whole thing of, I mean, it's almost it played out according to a predefined, pre-written sort of script or rubric, which was Mike Oliver lacked any consistent character enough. He's so inconsistent in his character and his application of the rules that they had to give him 2 first names. Because he's like 2 different people policing the game. The arbitrary application of rules and stepping it down to make sure that people are remember the fact that I'm Mike Oliver, I'm the referee, this is my game, rather than it being a game of football. And I don't know whether you've covered the whole thing, but the way that Liverpool players, I'm not criticising the style of play in and of itself, because if the team has a style of play and it's within the rules, absolutely. But there has to be some consistency. If they're bundling players over and we're getting nothing, and then at the slightest touch, they're throwing themselves down and dragging a player down and winning free kicks, it's just appalling. And the stamp, and then the fake, I'm sorry, how many actual red cards should they have got in the 90 minutes of play?
I don't know. Well, number 84, Bradley, who my 5-year-old is a bit of a dirty player. Basically, he was pulled off by Slot's game management coming to the fore there, and you do have to credit him for doing the right thing there, because he was on his way out. There were so many, and I think that when
how many did Gomez? How many fouls did they commit? And then I just.
I can tell you the number of fouls, but that
no, not the actual. I mean, the fouls when you're looking at it, when a referee would go, "Hang on a second, that was," you know what I mean? Because when they wave advantage,
20 fouls from Liverpool, 9 fouls from us. There were 2 yellow cards each side, which sounds crazy. It felt like
but then when he's being arbitrary about this, and then letting them blow the quick free kick at this point, and then letting us not take the throw in because no delay it. It's just, it ruins the game of football. And I'm like, look, if you want to make it a spectacle for the TV viewing, right? I don't understand I'm going to be here all day, but there were so many contentious decisions. And what is it, for the drama, or is it for the actual integrity of the game? Because if there's integrity in the game, you look at some of those challenges and tackles there, and regardless of whether a player is already on a yellow, it's a second yellow card. Like, I don't understand the consistency for deliberately handballing the ball, moving towards the ball. You know what I mean? Is that not a yellow card? Handling the ball deliberately to control it.
I don't know how much of it. I mean, Michael Oliver had his work cut out today, and I know he's got his critics.
He's always got his work cut out. Asking the man to exist in a non-paradoxical state is... Sorry,
It's all right, and this is with you not having a drink. But you know what? We want the passion. I mean, to be honest, I've just, like, the last 24 hours have just been so stressful with the build up to this game and then watching it.
Yeah, Vaseem. I agree with you, Vaseem. Spot on.
How it's all unfolded. Keep your comments coming in. Lots of people getting back. We do appreciate everything. We're not going to be able to get through all the comments, but do get them through. We'll pick through a few of them. Stats wise, I mean, you did pick up on fouls. There were loads of them. But Everton had 36% of possession, but we know that's not everything. Liverpool 64%, of course. There were 10 shots on our side, 6 only to them. 3 on target for ours, 4 to them. We had the disallowed goal, of course, which we'll come to. But definitely Liverpool had the possession, but they just didn't get the breakthrough. But second half, which is pretty much where we're up to for anyone that's been watching from the start, and I'm now coming back full circle to this. Everton came out second half. You could tell that we'd had a team.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask her, when you said we're getting to it, what time was the second goal, our second goal, the disallowed goal for offside? Was it about 60 odd minutes? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was before the. I don't have the exact point because I don't have so much information right now. But that I will get that information to you. But basically, the Liverpool goal, the Salah goal, which was inevitable because I think he was ineffective. Had like 12 touches all game, had an assist and a goal. Without him, where would Liverpool be? I have no idea. But Salah's goal came on 73. I think that the disallowed goal which was clearly offside, by the way, was around 10 minutes before that. So you're probably in that sort of region. But that came in a spell where I just felt like Liverpool couldn't handle what we were throwing at them. Physicality.
It's so frustrating that as you said, sorry, you touched on all these things. You just said that, and it's so frustrating though that we were handling everything until they had that It was just like a moment of, they're going to, like Garnacho's overhead kick or something like that. It's just like, people say that the harder you work, the luckier you are, and all these kind of things. But by God, we are an unlucky team.
I think we're unlucky, and I think Liverpool have stars, and Ryan alluded to it beforehand that, the embarrassment of riches that they've got coming on from the bench, the number of strikers that they've got that are A1 strikers coming on, it's really just incomparable that we've competed so well today. Yes, it's
they
nice.
bring people off the bench. They bring people off the bench who are internationals, and
Darwin Núñez and Alexander Arnold, and it's just everyone looks at them and with envy, jealousy, and hate, and all of those other words, but ultimately it's incomparable riches from a footballing side, and it's not paid on paper, but when you look at the faces they brought on and the way that they could liven up the game, it was kind of all to tell. And of course, we spoke about that spell, and it's hard to pinpoint anything particular, but Everton attacked mainly through the left-hand side with Jack Harrison, who I thought replacing Ndiaye, I don't know what he said to Ndiaye when he came off, or whether he even spoke, because obviously he was very visibly upset, and we don't know.
We were a different team. I think it was the upset because, look, it didn't take a genius to know that at the time when Ndiaye was on the pitch, he was the one that was spearheading a lot of our danger.
But we didn't we didn't have the option to attack down the right because we just didn't have the same width. We didn't have Kanchelskis or Alexanderson hugging the touchline. But my God, we could have done that because we ended up having the left-hand side, Morales or Deulofeu, but somebody on the right-hand side would have given us nice balance. But I thought Harrison was absolutely outstanding today. He could have probably put in a few extra crosses, but he did such a great job. We held on to the ball where we could. Decore and Beto absolutely terrorized Konate. Konate will not be sleeping tonight because the physicality from those two, my God, I want it week in, week out, Jan.
Yes. But the physicality that we had to step up to that level of physicality, though, which some players did. The diving headers from Branthwaite and just you noticed at times that there was a refinement to Liverpool's play. Look, I don't want to sit here waxing lyrical about what you might. It'd be easy to just tongue in cheek say our enemy, our biggest, but. When they're dinking the ball around and then we clear it and then they get it, and it took a little bit of time for us to bed down and to chase the ball and to make our mark and to stamp our presence, because it seemed a little bit like we were allowing them somehow, like they hadn't had the managerial and tactical instructions to say, look, Liverpool players are doing this in order to not get taken advantage of, and you are not being protected by the referee. You need to do X, Y, and Z. And you could see that Liverpool players were starting to shy away because, hey, they're not rolling over for us. And that's when we always, we bring it to the derby, but some games we bring it, like I've historically said, Tottenham always allow us to play football. And when we can play football, when they allow us to play football, then we step into it. But we need to have that aggression to take it. Do you know what I mean? And anyway, I'm going to talk for too long, but yeah.
No, it's absolutely fine. There's just so many talking points that it's almost unbearable to know where to go to next with this one. But we are going to continue with the first half and the second half. And apologies, but basically around 9 o'clock, Rio Ferdinand was singing our prayers. He was saying how we were doing well out of possession, but we were making ourselves really hard to play through. There was no opportunity for Liverpool to play their normal game here. The strikers were feeding off scraps. The intensity from our side was there to be seen, and it made Liverpool think in a way where I don't feel that they've had to think for many games this season. I think that this will end up being replayed by any side that plays Liverpool to the end of the season and going, you watch this Everton side. You watch, they are like a pack of wolves hunting down.
let's just for argument's sake say that though, but would they not necessarily say the same thing about the Plymouth footage?
Well, I mean, we could talk all we want to the Plymouth game, which I saw in full down in town, and I had to keep quiet because I was playing snooker at the time with my brothers and my brother and my dad. But no, I think that that Liverpool game was managed by Slot and had Darn and Nunez, but it's just basically an arrogant lineup, and it just happened to be the Liverpool with the same badge and the same kit. I don't see that as being an example of Liverpool. I see that as an example of a manager who thinks he can get away with a certain lineup, sends them down to play, thinking they'll comfortably win, and has egg on his face. But I mean, going back to this, what we Rio Ferdinand, Ali McCoist were the commentators. The coverage wasn't biased, by the way. TNT Sport. It was really good, actually.
Did they comment on the crowd making very loud statements of corruption and not fit to referee? I mean, was that audible over the coverage?
No, I have to admit, I have the pleasure of having 5.1 surround, and when I watch on Sky, I get the 5.1, and I can hear all of the shouting. But on TNT, I don't think they broadcast, at least for Sky, in the ultra high def. So it's just standard def, and you don't get the full surround, and you couldn't hear the crowd, and it wasn't as loud as I know it is when you're there.
No, it was constantly very, very, very loud, and
you just can't pick it up.
There were constant shouts of Premier League corruptors, and also "you're not fit to referee." People were shouting things like, at this point, or I was shouting. Well, I'm not going to say what I was shouting. I don't want to get a ban. But needless to say, this is
I've got the answer, by the way. I've got the answer to when the goal was disallowed. It was disallowed at 2 minutes to 9, which, if you think about it, would have been 15 minutes or so into the second half. So basically, it was Branthwaite. He had the ball in the net. The flag goes up. You think, oh no, is this going to be overturned? Are we going to actually have this? What happens is, I don't know how well you saw it from the lower bulletins, but Branthwaite basically chests down Jake O'Brien's knockdown in front of Gladys Street, slams the ball in. It's very close, and it did confirm offside. But obviously, you think, oh, is it going to get allowed? Well, when you go 2-1 up, you think, is it, does surely this is going to be our day? Did you have that feeling that it was going to be our day?
No, well, no, because I noticed the offside flag straight away.
It was tight. Andy Robertson comes back, but it is tight.
Yeah, I know, but no, I noticed the offside flag straight away. So whenever that's the case, it's going to VAR, and odds are, look, if it's a goal, he's not going to put his flag up. So the moment they introduce any doubt, you just kind of have to get used to it. And I'm like, look, well, this isn't about the football and the result and the goal now. It's about all these technicalities. The most frustrating thing for me was the kind of level of uncertainty where you just, well, it's not. It's what's going to happen. You know that Liverpool are not going to have a man sent off rightly for a second yellow. You know he's going to be subbed on, or he's going to be involved in a goal that's going to take it. You know we're going to have a disallowed goal. You know that there's going to be arbitrary allocation of yellow cards for sort of really pathetic, arbitrary things. Like he's having a go at this, for instance, about their protest or kick the ball away or shirts and celebrating. Yeah, I mean, look, the free kick after. I'm sorry. I know you might go, oh, nitpicky, little bitty things, but if you start letting the little things slide, it's exactly a motif for the thing in the game today, because you end up with situations where you have our player that's injured, that's already been fouled a few times due to the nature of their play, and they're getting no protection from the referee. So what is the point in a referee?
The point of the referee is he was in a loss situation in this game, whichever way it went and however way it went, and we knew it wasn't going to be a game of fluid. This was never going to be Man City Real. This wasn't that type of game. I apologize if Ryan.
Oh, sorry, Ryan for the back.
No. He just said that he'd happy to swap, but obviously we're very comfortable here going through all of this. Look, Jan, you've got to get your points off across and get everything off the chest, because let's face it, no one's going to sleep anytime soon. And there's loads of comments coming through. Hello to all the regulars, Peter, Dixie, Lee, Nick. Big shout out to everyone. We're well over 3,000 subscribers. We're proud about that. And we grew this channel from nothing. I have to be honest, coming on with a brave face following a defeat was exactly what I'd expected to do. And then James Tarkowski has basically saved
Well,
Goodison,
on that note,
really.
can I ask you your opinion and the viewers out there? It's a psychological trick, but I would argue that, I mean, we can never predict the future, but I'd argue that it's quite damaging for a team, even if you'd argue that, okay, they're a better team, they're away from home, but it's a local rival and they got a draw, you'd say that, okay, that's a relatively good result, but they won 3, they'd feel a bit disappointed, whereas I feel we could have got 3 at one point. But the issue for me is, when you get a draw from a losing position and you feel that you're the underdog, so we have the lesser quality players of squad, undeniably. I'm not going to split hairs on that. If anyone wants to argue with me, then I'll see you in the psychiatric ward, right? But to have a goal disallowed, to then think you have the upper foot and have that snatched away and then to go a goal down, when you then get a draw, it feels more like a win. It feels like we've won and they've lost, even though we both got a draw. I don't know how you feel about that.
I feel like it was a draw that was, if ever you could say we deserved a draw, it was a draw, but it was like a 2-point draw. It felt more than a regular draw. I wish that they did reward 2 points for the effort, but unfortunately it's just the one. But the main thing, is it's not defeat, because, the grand old lady does not want to leave. And no one wants to leave that ground, but it is happening.
I was collared by BBC Radio on the way out the ground with my mum.
Well, and did you speak to them? Did you say anything?
Yeah, they asked about how many derbies I've been to, and I sort of figured out it must be about 40 now.
I don't like them. I've had the stress ball on me all day. It's just too tense. I feel like the tension went when Liverpool scored their second. It came.
About 30.
I'm gonna talk about that goal. Basically, they break down the left-hand side, and it's completely against the run of play, right? And I'd like to go through, and maybe this is a good chance for Chris or Ryan or somebody who wants to actually go through the entire game and do like a live watch along. I don't even know whether we're allowed to do that. Who knows? Or just some screenshots, because you do make some really good points. And Peter's made this point about 3 potential yellow card offences just for McAllister. And I think this is just the whole pattern of the game. The whole game was just like, that should be a yellow. Perhaps Garner, Adrissa.
But I don't want to go.
There's so many incidents.
Yeah.
But let's go back to what really mattered, which was that against the run of the play, clearly against the run of play, against a much better side, let's be honest, that we'd nullified for this half on 73 minutes. The inevitable happens. And we've seen it before with Manny scoring at the end of the park and Gary McAllister. And we know that this sort of thing happens. And there's no way of getting away from the demons. But with seemingly one shot and hardly any impact in the game otherwise, Mohamed Salah does what he does. And there's a reason why.
Which is collapse and drag the player on top of him to win a foul.
Well, yes, he does that as well. But look, we're laughing now. I'm not sure we would be if we were losing this game. But basically, it's Curtis Jones. He eventually gets sent off in the game, Curtis Jones.
Yeah. Well, my issue with these, when you're looking at this from an angle, then, can I just ask you to look at it from maybe 2 angles when you're considering it? One, well, maybe 3 then. At what point does it become like there is enough evidence here, no smoke without fire, that there is, if not a conspiracy, then a dislike, a general dislike towards Everton, either because they've been victimised and then the rules have been applied rather strictly, or because of the self-fulfilling thing, like John Denver, who never did anything wrong, and yet people turned on him and they believed rumour and all this kind of stuff. So it fits the narrative. So my question is, when you're looking at these incidences, right, do you think it's anti-Everton or pro-Liverpool because they're top of the league, therefore they must be good, they must be the best? But you look at some of those incidents and they go steaming in, and it looks with malicious intent.
Look, I think Liverpool only had one way of trying to compete, and unfortunately, they weren't there at times, and they found it. I'm one of these people. I do have fans at Liverpool fans, and while it was drawing at times, I was still messaging them, and then when they scored, I kind of went back a little bit. I was messaging my Arsenal friend. But basically, I think that Liverpool's normal game plan for something like this, they couldn't play their normal game, so it was kind of what ended up happening was them trying to compete with Everton in a game where they're more accustomed to the physicality of it and the kind of dogs of war style. I wonder if Ryan's wanting to come back in a second. But basically, Liverpool were kind of, I wouldn't say half a yard, but at times it looked like Liverpool were being a bit dirty. Yeah, there were a couple of incidents. I do think that on another day, Garner Gay could have probably gone. Everton generally knew what they were doing. They kept their heads. It's going to see if Ryan's come back in. Ryan, do you want to come back in or?
Yeah. Hello, just
hi there.
promoting
We're
the
still
stream
actually
straight after this one. That is the phone in. So there's 638 of you watching. Come and join us at 11 o'clock approximately, or as soon as this stream finishes, for the post-match phone in. I want to hear all of the cranks, all of the diehards, and everyone in between joining on. You don't have to necessarily be an Evertonian. I want to hear from everyone. So join us straight after this stream on the post-match.
That sounds amazing, and that sounds like my bedtime listening, because let's face
Hello.
it, if you can get to sleep after this, I don't think I've had as much adrenaline in the system since the last Goodison derby, which is the one that you and I were at. And I've got great footage of that, of us kind of going absolutely balmy. And I have just to remind everyone that the last two Goodison derbies, we've won and draw. We've given as good as we can get. We didn't win this one, but we won the last one. And we certainly
Feels like a win.
But it did feel like a win. Yes, it did. Because we scored on the death.
You know what? You know what? Maybe it's too simple, but it feels like we stopped them from rubbing our noses in it at the last derby at Goodison. And to me, that's. I know it might be. I don't want to be apologist. I want to aim higher, but for me, right now, that's good enough. Do you know what I mean by that? I mean, I don't want to piss. I'm probably pissed some people off there. Yes, I wanted 3 points, but I'm quite happy with it.
We're not going to appeal to everyone, and that's something I would say about any fan channel for that matter. It is impossible to do so, and different opinions will come to the foray, and you'll see things. If you're sitting in the top balcony, you'll see different to what you might see in the corner of the family enclosure. We do want all of your views. We want to particularly hear from, and if it's not on this forum on the comments, maybe it's from in Ryan's 11:15 p.m. Phone in. Anyone who was in the ground, I know it sounds ridiculous because it looked like it was absolute pandemonium, celebrating not just once but twice, and what they thought of that whole scene towards the end, because it looked like something else. But many of our
Can I ask our viewers? Sorry, can I ask our viewers, by the way? I will offer compensation in the form of either monetary or buy you a drink or something. I had to take my elderly disabled mum to the game and walk, and we got there before kickoff for the siren. We got in the turnstiles, but unfortunately, I do not have a program from today's match, and I thought that in my dad's honour, I was going to complete his pretty much entire, complete, comprehensive collection of Everton programs while at Goodison, and yeah. So I don't know if anyone out there has got access to some of the programs, but bloody didn't have any.
Jan, I don't know whether it's possible, but if anyone is to go near the Everton 2 store, or actually one of the stores, they normally do have a few programs. I've been trying to get one as well. There is a website where you can get them, and I'm sure if we contact the club, we can probably pin one down.
Yeah, I know, but I was going to say I'd pay for someone to have VIP on here if they get me a pro.
Did Ryan get me a program? I'd love to know, because I was trying to get one myself. But anyway, splitting hairs over what is effectively a few pages, the folklore, it will be all about this late goal that kind of summarizes this
Was
game.
it like Jackie Elson's late goal?
The program has Arteta on the cover. Now, I don't know when they produced the program, whether they produced it actually for December or for this one, but it was kind of a bit of a tongue-in-cheek cover from Everton, because obviously we know Arteta is the manager of Arsenal, and it was almost like a signal or a subliminal message to say, up yours, and we're going to give our best chance to let you have a good chance of at least taking Liverpool, make them work hard for the title, because that's something that they the Premier League deserves to have a close run in. It doesn't look like it's going to be that way. It doesn't look like Liverpool are going to drop enough points, but then they're not having the best year so far. And this kind of last minute goal from Everton would have just kind of rubbed a bit of salt in the wound. It's Liverpool's to lose. They cannot possibly falter, but we've seen them do it before. And football's a funny game. And if they go on and win the league, then we've done our bit. We've still got to play them again, remember. I think that sometimes we kind of forget that. And I'm not actually looking forward to it. It's probably in April. But we do have to play them again. And on this performance, I think will give us good as we can get. Liverpool can only go in one direction. But enough about them. Obviously, Salah does score the inevitable goal. And we've seen this sort of situation. And you think, certainly that Everton lost their momentum. We didn't know what to do at that point, because we'd given our maximum 110% effort, and we'd taken the game to them on a new level. And I can't fault any performance that we put on today, but it looked like the stuffing had been knocked on us, and it was almost like there was a bit of a countdown going on, because there weren't really any big events between then and the 90th minute. And then around 89, it came to everyone's attention that there were going to be 5 minutes of added time. And it's weird how that happens. It's almost like between the 80th minute and the 90th minute, it kind of just peters out. And Liverpool are very, very happy with Everton having possession.
Liverpool were happy at 2-1. They weren't chasing the game for an extra goal. I mean, clearly they were capable of scoring, should it happen. But when we conceded that goal, this sounds going to sound really silly, but it might have actually weirdly worked in our favour, that we seemed like a bunch of, at that precise moment, it was all panic, floundering. Like, oh God, the ball was off the post, wasn't it? And then it comes back in, all this kind of stuff. And it's just panic. And then from that, Liverpool, maybe they've got instructions, or their sentiment is, oh, we put this to bed, we can coast it out. And they didn't do that correctly, and we punished them for it.
Yeah, we certainly did. Anyone that's had critics, especially performances under Dyche, some players that have not necessarily put in a shift, like Decore, and weaker performances like previously from Harrison, they were not there today. They gave them everything. They left blood, sweat, and tears. It was everything that you'd hoped from an Everton performance at home, the last Goodison derby. And of course, if you just joined us, we're over the hour mark, so you feel free to go back and watch this. If you've not already subscribed, make sure you do. The banner's going back up here. And I believe you can win a Dell computer on a prize draw.
I'm sorry, are we not going to get done for like using somebody's image or likeness, or do you think he's a good sport? It's like, it's Everton fans, it's all right. Because, I mean,
Well, I just promoted Dell computer. Look, I think, come on. I think we're going to be done. We'll be done by now, and we'll all have to kind of accept it. Basically, Alisson didn't have a proper save to make, despite Everton's territorial possession, especially in the second half, where we had at times 33% of the ball in their final third. You wouldn't have believed that.
What a frustrating thing. Did you discuss that one moment towards the end of the game where Tarks was still in the box, right on the edge of the box, and he had the ball and he sort of floundered. He should have just swearing. Well, no, it's 5-11, we're good, right? He should have just wellied it, and he laid it, he panicked, he was like, oh no, I'm a defender at the edge of the box, shit. And he passed it to, was it Decore on the left, and he just whiffed it.
Yeah, I mean, and also in those last few chances, there were a couple of things I'm going to pick up on where I'm sure that others who are going to kind of dissect this game properly going to go through. But Beto had a shot. It's a bit weak at 86 minutes. And this is like the only kind of action between their goal and the injury time.
Was that the one that just rolled towards?
It was a weak effort. But, Beto, his goal, he took well. He was physical.
He's improving. He's improving week on week.
He is 100% improving. It's a shame we don't have other players and that we're so dependent on him, because if, God forbid, he was to get injured, it would be like a Tim Cahill false nine mess that we would need to kind of deal with. Probably the lack of strike, probably Keane up front. Look, you can't really.
So I think we might push to.
Shot there, but
So did we get any straight reds at the end?
we'll come on to that in a minute. We didn't get any straight reds because I think Decoy.
Have a look at this. Have a look at this.
Oh.
Is that the end?
Slot reacting to the goal, and Everton in the background, and you can see Jordan Pickford doing a knee slide.
It's intense. It's so intense. I don't know how it's even possible for anyone to think about winding down after that. But anyway, Liverpool made more subs towards the end. You know, obviously killing time. They bring on Jota for Luis Diaz, who had a little run past a few players and did a few things for them. And obviously their quality is all there to be seen.
What you mean, targeted some of our players and fouled them repeatedly until they were injured or marginalised out of the game?
It depends on whether we're looking at through blue tinted lenses.
But I know. Let's
move on to the fact that we made our star sub and Ashley Young comes on, and you think, if that's, you know, I like Ashley Young for his longevity in the game, but I think, you know, if that's who we're bringing on to kind of seal the deal, that it's kind of really worrying. But then, as I mentioned, it goes to 90th minute, and at 90, and it's funny how a lot of football matches kind of work out like this. At 90, suddenly, as soon as you see the board go up, and sometimes it's 7, 8, 9 minutes, but in this case it was 5 minutes. It all kind of like galvanizes the crowd. It kind of gets the whole team together, because it's like, we've still got 5 more minutes to do this. But Tim loses the balls. I think that we kind of wasted the first 3 minutes of it, and it looked like there was absolutely no hope in Hell's chance of actually of getting back into the game. And then out of nowhere, there's a clash of heads, and it's down in front of the family enclosure. And Alcaraz and Branthwaite, basically, but this is the level of commitment those players have had. They end up bashing each other's heads, and it takes like 2 or 3 minutes. It takes us well past the 95 minutes. And I know you were probably at the stadium then, Jan, but it was kind of a sense of, well, that's it now. I mean, they might add maybe 1 or 2. We kind of rushed through the kind of stoppage time play. We'd not really put the ball in the box. It just hadn't worked out. And I think I was actually starting to gather myself together to put myself on the stream with a face like thunder, having, you know, I wasn't writing the script, but I was already getting ready for the notes, for all the little details that we go around the channel.
You were preparing for the traditional "that's Everton," I
was preparing for a different level of stream, maybe one where we wouldn't be still lively talking after an hour and 7 minutes. But the point is, you thought it was done and dusted, and I think that was probably the same as what the other fans that we've had on, who've come on and said that they left the ground and all of that. We don't want to see the red shite, sorry for swearing, celebrate towards the end, and you know, and all of that kind of. We just can't stand it. I mean, they're tucking away the away fans in Bramley Moor Dock, so that it won't be quite as painful. But it's painful, and it's no more painful than when they're winning the league and they're 9 points clear and all of that. So I get why people left, but with the clash of heads, which was really unfortunate, and hopefully both players, Branthwaite, who had an absolutely storming game, by the way, and we didn't even really talk about some of the key performances defensively from our side, because it wasn't all just attacking. There were plenty of really good resolute performances across the side. But the ball drops to Tarkowski. I just don't even know what he's doing there. I didn't see it as having a chance, and he basically leathers it. He smacks it. You couldn't hit it sweeter. It's different.
Was it like Jagielka's strike?
No, because Jagielka cuts through the ball. It kind of swerves and goes way over to the right-hand corner of the cop. It's just a different strike because he's slicing through the ball. This one, it was just absolutely gorgeous. You're going to watch it back in a few minutes anyway. It'll be all over the news and all over everything else. It'll be on the back pages and so on. The players ran to celebrate and the fans, and I just thought that's crazy. And of course, there were fans on the pitch, and you just can't stop that sort of stuff. I would like to think that they would kind of mitigate the scenes at the end.
The last ever game. I mean, for crying out loud, people are human beings. This is what I'm saying. Was anyone harmed?
Sports entertainment, it's raw emotion, and they are human beings. So there's an element to it where you just can't. Almost, it's like when players take the shirt off. I'm sure that logically they probably think, no, that wasn't the right thing to do. But in the moment, they do it. So anyway, they check for an offside, and you just think, oh my God, not again. How is it possible? And it was almost like, do they want offside? Do they want a foul? They basically thought, is it free kick and offside? And it was really, really close. But I could see with the semicircle the way I almost going to get the ruler out. I could see where it was, and I thought he was onside. So I was pretty confident, but you never know until it's going to get confirmed because it's all about angles and the way they're looking at it. But having smashed the ball in the net like that, for it to be ruled out would have just been the most criminal of disallowed goals of all criminal. But then the scenes that came after with the eruption and everything else, it was just absolutely bonkers. If you're in the ground, please comment or come on Ryan's stream afterwards, because sadly I wasn't there. I went to the Storm Dara weekend. We obviously was going to go with you, but the goal stood, and it was basically 2 hours after kickoff, a full 2 hours, and it was 98 minutes. It just like the ball bobbled around, and then it just fell to Tarkowski, and it was a screamer. I can't describe it any more than that. And it was almost like the most fitting end. If that had been the last game ever at Goodison, that would have been it. That would have been the most fitting end you could ever have. And it may be that we have a game against, I think it's Southampton towards the end of the season, and that it doesn't even touch this game for actual, the quality of football and the passion and everything. I'm sure that outside the game and all the singing, everything will be great. But this was the end of all ends, and was the way that you seal a derby battle that's been going on since the turn of the century. I think both sides 41 wins. So if it went either way, it was kind of bragging rights forever. From the Goodison side, it was going to go down in the history books, if you like. But unfortunately, what happened after that was a bit of a UFC boxing match. Players fighting. Look, it's going to hurt. People are unhappy, but it's not ice hockey. So you don't see it that often. You tend to see it a lot in the derby matches. It's heated. And the spirit that Everton players had throughout that game spilled out towards the end, but it was Curtis Jones that looked like he pushed one of the Liverpool players. We don't know what was said. We don't know all the information. I do have, for anyone that was kind of earlier on that kind of missed it, I do have some, even if this is for your benefit, I do have some shots of what went on. So the first scene here, Jan, is Curtis Jones pushing
to score, eh?
Yeah, which obviously would wind up anyone. So he wasn't happy about that. I think Jones was on a yellow already. Then we've got a bit of a scene that a lot of people will probably want to get a framed poster of. Where
it's very reminiscent of Ferguson on Not Savage. Who was it? Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. And then this, which is, I said that this was the caption competition that didn't require any voice. Because
did it just say Christ in the background on the hoarding? Does it just say Christ?
I don't even know, what to say about this. But I probably would.
Wait, hang on. What's going on the right there with O'Brien? No, who is it? And Irabunum and so, what's going on there?
It's just completely mental, isn't it? So what I want to do is I'm going to actually get the red one out here. It's really all around. This is a mass. Sorry, wrong way around. It's late in the evening to be doing desktop publishing. But it's what I want to do is there you go. I did get a first in multimedia, by the way. Look, have a look at what's going on here. Decore has to be pulled away by O'Brien because Decore is celebrating after all that in front of the Liverpool fans who are already extremely pissed off. And you couldn't imagine being in the Liverpool fans to that. I mean, we know how much of a suffering it can be. But there's more. This is why there were no police to pull you over before, because they're all here. It was like Line of Duty season 7 or 8. Just absolute bonkers of what's going on in that scene. Tarkowski obviously having scored the goal. He's got a cheeky smile on his face. Van Dijk had a obviously very challenging game. He was kind of.
I mean, truthfully, he's a very, very experienced. He's got a lot in the toolbox in the Arsenal, in his reserves. But he's getting older, and he was found out a few times there. Now, if Beto had the strength that we've seen in some centre forwards, I mean, it's quite evident that Van Dijk is a very good and very good at protecting his line and the paths to goal. But all I see is someone who would be very easy to use his physicality against him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, you're spot on. What do you think about Tarkowski? He scored the goal, but the other day he was like the pantomime villain. He had a complete nightmare of a game the other day, and then he's come up trumps. So an element of redemption there, Jan, or just written in the stars?
Redemptive, yes. But then also, I mean, when you think about it, that was against Bournemouth you're referring to. Bournemouth have been a high-flying team. It wasn't just down to him primarily, but when you're a centre-back, when you are older, when you have that physicality, not the burst of speed as he does, unfortunately, I suppose it can get summed up with he gets found out. And that's what happens when a player is, 32?
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, no disrespect to the guy. No disrespect to the guy. I'm not criticising him, but it's the reality. Is I can't run a mile in the speed that I used to.
No.
Probably can't run a mile anymore.
I can if I need to get out of Goodison having been hammered, but that wasn't the end of it. So the next thing that happens is Slot gets sent off. And I don't have the full situation because I was preparing to come on here. Remember, only a minute or so preparing for a loss and all of the shenanigans that goes on with that. And obviously, it's just one of those things that just can't even believe your eyes, really. But basically, Slot gets sent off after the whistle because you can do that. There's another melee, and then Decore gets sent off. And it just ended up with, I think what happened was because Decore was antagonizing the away fans. Yes,
but how many times? Here's again an example of consistency or lack of hypocrisy. Absolute shout a bit. Is that the number of times that players do that? Against home fans. Where are they meant to go? Well, maybe don't open yourself up to. You know what I mean? Like, it's that whole thing of, look, if just because you get punched first doesn't mean you're the victim if you're inciting people to punch you.
Yeah. Don't forget, obviously, we have the phone in with Rye coming up after this. And that's a chance for everyone to kind of dial in and have your say, because through the various guests and obviously comments, and there's so much to go through here, we've been trying to make sense of Everton's 2-2 draw in the final night Goodison derby, and it was absolutely one that lived up to expectations. I'm sure Liverpool fans, some of them have been commenting and coming on and stuff, saying that Everton deserved the point. Others will be absolutely livid with the fact that they could have gone 9 points clear and carried the momentum into the last few games, and they do have a very tough run of lots of games in quick succession where you just never know whether they are going to drop a point or two.
I was going to say that the thing with Liverpool, they're very fragile.
No, and yeah, they are fragile. But Liverpool's season has been going extremely well, as we know. But they're out the cup. They've drawn at Goodison due to a last-minute goal, but maybe they would have looked at this and gone, well, actually, that was quite a good point. We're 7 points clear. Who knows? But I've put what that means. They are clear, but we're also 10 points above the relegation zone. So this is kind of another point towards safety, and it certainly means that, you know, we can maybe enjoy some of the final games towards the end of the season rather than have to sweat over how many points we're trying to stop Wolves or Ipswich from getting and constantly over our shoulder. I mean, we've had enough of that. Come on. But I went live a bit later than normal. And for anyone who watched right from the beginning, you'll notice that the reason behind this really was, and this is only for future streams in case you're wondering, is if this sort of thing happens again, I won't go live immediately. The reason is people were still in the ground, apart from our team, of course. And so, you know, you really want to savor that atmosphere. And if you're there, and we've seen it before, we saw it last season, you want to soak it up like a sponge. And so I gave it a chance to kind of to fizz out before we came on. Firstly with your mother, and then we had Corey as well. We've had Ryan, we've had Basil, we've had yourself, of course. We only have a few more minutes left, but that was enough in added time for Everton to find the equaliser. That has meant Everton have gone out of this derby day with a smile on their face. A kind of fairish result. I don't know. Maybe there's fans who probably think we should have won the game. But when it's 97 minutes and you're hitting over the bar, so look, Everton's game plan from top to bottom was perfect. Moyes will get credit. We'll try and find his comments somewhere. Maybe Ryan will pick that one up in the post-match. This is the post-match. Sorry, I mean the phone-in. But you know what? The drama from tonight would have made any big box set kind of jealous. 4 goals, red cards, pure drama, and Liverpool still have a title race where they need to kind of finish the job rather than canter to a finish. Obviously, the match did end with chaotic scenes in front of just under 40,000, 39,280. I don't know why those are missing seats. Like, who didn't go, and why were those 40,000 seats not completely full? But anyway,
they might take that away because it's allocation then for security, because they might have had heightened security knowing it was the last game, the last evening game.
And you can see there was a lot of security. The security was going, and I don't know whether they count that in attendance.
There were a lot. Throughout the game, there were a lot of Everton stewards, safety stewards, G4S, all the livery, all the badges, all the things, and the earpieces that they tried to hide, all the things that you pick up on after years of being observational and noticing that. Oh God, there were hundreds of security of various kinds throughout the ground.
And that's good, because, you know, first and foremost, you want to feel safe at a football match. You've got to enjoy yourself. And any stewards or anyone else from the public service watching, hi guys, and thanks for kind of making sure that the games are safe.
Yeah,
we do hope that Dia's injury isn't as serious as it looked. He was absolutely livid. He was in tears. He could barely, you know, keep his face up. We don't know how much of that was physical agony and or emotional agony, but certainly it was agony to watch. Tonight has kind of been just one of those nights. It could have easily ended in defeat despite Everton's great efforts, but we have managed to secure the draw that everyone wanted at minimum. Not just stopping a Liverpool in their tracks, but also helping us carry momentum, helping us write ourselves in history books as at least equal with them in Goodison derbies at Goodison. And of course, it was goals from Beto and Tarkowski that made it happen. From Liverpool side, McAllister, who wasn't even going to be available for the game that was called off due to Storm Dara, scored after 16 minutes with a kind of back header that caught Pickford off guard from a nice cross in after Decore gave the ball away. And of course, Salah with his obligatory goal, which he kind of took in an instant at the back post in front of the park end to kind of spell towards Everton's final, set of chances. But this was a hell of a stream, Jan. I'm going to wind up in a few seconds. I'm just going to leave you with a chance to give me, I don't suppose you've got a poem, but some closing comments.
I mean, I did have a poem. I think really to all the Everton brothers and sisters, to the people who watch that game because they love football, regardless of being a football fan, whether allegiances don't bind your heart into knots like it does all of us on the channel. 39,280 people went tonight. And to me, that was one of the most significant and meaningful nights in my life as an Everton supporter. So for everyone that's there, everyone that watched,